Hey, welcome to Inspector Josh Investigates TV. I'm Josh Paulson, an indie who loves to reverse engineer stories to draw story writing lessons. And today, we'll be discussing a lesson from Gravity Falls. We'll be talking about continuation from Season 1 to Season 2. And we'll be looking particularly at Season 2, Episode 1, titled Scary-Oke. Warning, spoilers for this episode and previous episodes are ahead. All right, so I did another episode on Gravity Falls with Inspector Josh Investigates TV, and as a heads up, the season on that one was labeled wrong because the way that Amazon lists Gravity Falls, it listed as having 4 seasons. Most other places, including Hulu, listed as having 2 seasons. I don't know what's with the disparity, but that's something that is online. So we're going to talk about continuation. Now, this seems sort of like this would be straightforward, right? Well, we have continuation. We continue where we left off. We have the events that were going on, and now we continue those events. But there's a little bit more to continuation, which we're going to talk about now. And we're going to focus on 3 different ways. One of them is the events. Another one is the audience's questions. And then also the story's themes. So number 1, the events. This is pretty straightforward. So we have Uncle Stan, and he's still down in the basement. He's doing his thing with the books. We don't know what's going on yet. Is he opening a portal? What's happening? And also then we have the stuff going on where from there, everybody's still asleep. The next day, everybody's waking up. And we basically carry on from where we ended the last season. So that's continuation of the events. But then we also have the audience's questions. And I think that this episode does a fantastic job of really going into the audience's questions and answering some of them, giving us enough, but then also giving more questions. So the questions about what's going on, we still don't know a ton, but we're learning more. We learn a bit more about what happens with Uncle Stan and what happens with the relationships between the characters. We have these questions about, well, what does this mean? What's going to happen? What's Uncle Stan up to? And we see more of that. We see more pieces. And that's really cool. And I think that they did a really good job of really paying off for the viewers having to wait for this new season. And then also we have the story's themes. So the general layout of the episodes are there's a big supernatural happening, there's goofy fun, but there's this really weird supernatural thing going on that gets solved, or at least there's a problem that comes from the supernatural happening that gets solved, and oftentimes there's still a loose end, but part of it gets solved. And that theme, that kind of layout, is still continued in this episode of Gravity Falls, in this new season. Now, they did add new elements as well. They added in the government agents, and then also now we realize that there is more to the book. You have the invisible ink that was used, but we also have that continuation. New elements are great, and they're often added in new seasons, and they can add more interest and intrigue, and I want to see how this all progresses. But when you are continuing a story, don't just think about it in terms of continuing the events. Consider your story's themes, consider your audience's questions. Audience questions is a great way to generate ideas or to figure out what to show next, because really that's part of the story anyway. They're asking questions about the story. And maybe you had a story that you were looking to tell even, and your audience is really interested in another aspect. Well, it might be that your audience has grabbed a hold of a part of the story that is much more meaningful to them than you realized. And so it could be worth it for you to go into that more. Maybe not, depending on your layout. Maybe it's best for you to stick to what you were doing originally. But this is something worth considering. And Gravity Falls does a great job of pointing at all of these in this episode. Case closed. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with another episode next Monday. Hey, if you like this podcast, then please let me know. You can like it on Podbay. You can leave me a review on iTunes. Tweet me on Twitter. I have no idea if anybody's listening if nobody lets me know. So even though I can get a little bit of information, it's kind of tricky and I don't necessarily know. So let me know. Let me know if there's any TV show that you'd like me to look at. And I hope that you have a great writing career and that you have a blast moving forward in your craft. Take care.